This morning we have Joe Antishak, who's going to be here with us, and he is senior editorial researcher here at FreightWaves, and I think he's talking about potentially a new launch here at FreightWaves. Joe, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here. How you guys doing?
We're doing pretty good, Joe, and we've had you on a couple times in the last few months. Each time you've got a really new, exciting release for us here that's going to add a great resource to basically anybody who's part of our FreightWaves ecosystem. Let's talk a little bit what's coming up with our driver pay information.
Yeah, yet another thing to talk about, another cool project we're doing. So this driver pay guide, we have about 100 companies that have submitted data to us on about how much they pay drivers at various experience levels, as well as information on sign-on bonuses. So if you're a driver and you're looking for, trying to figure out how much you can expect to make, or what companies in your region will pay you, you can check out this guide, see, kind of see where the best compensation is. And also, if you're a carrier and you're curious what your competitors are paying, you can take a look at it as well.
This is super interesting because it adds an extra level of transparency to the industry, which I think is something that we're always looking for, right? Especially in this time where the power is so in the hand of the employee, and you can hop from job to job to job if they're not paying you what you think that you're worth. And traditionally, I almost feel like a driver hasn't quite had that power, right? It's kind of be like, take what we give you when it comes to pay. But this gives them a little bit of that power to wield when it comes to finding a job.
Yeah, exactly. And it is very much a sign of kind of where the labor market is, the fact that we're able to do this at all. I mean, if market trends were in the opposite direction, probably fewer companies would submit to us. But I think that a lot of carriers are just trying to find drivers. So they're willing to kind of, take a bold step and allow this information to be published. There are some other resources like this that exist within the industry, but they are more catered toward the carrier. So, there's a paywall. And for a lot of drivers, it's kind of like a prohibitive amount of money. So we're trying to do away with that with our resource and just make it, free and open to the public. And anyone can use it, as an additional layer of context for the industry.
And Joe, I had a chance to check it out briefly and click around. It's very intuitive. When you start looking at some of these data, some of the data here, is there anything that jumps out at you or initially, or something that might be a little bit surprising, or some of the trends right now that you're seeing in this research tool so far?
Yeah, well, I on a personal level, don't have a ton of experience with, driver pay figures, but getting some of these surveys back, and seeing like 200,000 plus as a starting salary for experienced drivers was pretty surprising to me. But, in hindsight, it's really not that surprising. I mean, people need drivers, and these drivers are hauling, very important loads, and they're in high demand. So it makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of six-figure numbers, though, that people may be surprised to see.
And so, Joe, we've seen historically in the last year this historical trend of an increase and an increase and an increase. And once you get that increase, it's kind of hard for companies to walk it back when you hit times maybe that aren't so fruitful in the freight industry. Are you guys going to have any type of historical context to add to this kind of data where we can watch maybe trends in the industry, or because it's all based on self-reporting, is that going to depend on how much historical data you get self-reported to this guide?
Yeah, so that's kind of the way we're approaching it now. We are hoping to just continue this guide, possibly quarterly, but at least annually, and just start tracking kind of what companies are willing and able to pay. Now, we have considered, right, that companies are submitting this information. There's a certain amount of strategy that can go into that if you're a company. So certainly, this list, as well as with any of our others, if let's say you're a driver and you were offered something way higher, way lower than what this company has reported to us, I mean, just get in touch with me, let me know. And that's something that we can try to figure out with the company that submitted the information.
And Joe, as Kaylee mentioned earlier, of course, no stranger here. I think you might be coming back tomorrow. So what do you have in store for us then? A little bit of a sneak peek.
Yeah, so tomorrow you're actually going to be able to see the data. So today we're still kind of putting the final touches on it, but tomorrow it's going to be free and open to the public. And so, yeah, I'm just excited to kind of get a little bit more into the nitty gritty of the data then.
Absolutely. So we'll have you back on tomorrow morning, once again, right around that 9:40 timeframe. Joe, thank you for coming on with us today, previewing a little bit of what's to come, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Talk to you then.